And now we present Bit Tips, brought to you by the Mikmar Bit Company. This horse has a wonderful disposition and is reliable. Unfortunately, because of these qualities, he's had the task of carrying many inexperienced riders. We first rode him in a plain single-jointed snaffle. Uneducated and unintentional rough hands have led him to be very defensive with his mouth. Because he's used to taking charge of the situation, he likes to go where he wants at the speed he chooses. There's not much respect for the rider, and all gaits tend to be quick and choppy. Right now, he consistently evades the bit.
He's a good enough guy. He has no rate. You can't slow him down. The minute you ask him to relax and slow down, he flips his head up, opens his mouth, sticks his tongue out, gaps his mouth. He doesn't know what to do.
Then we tried a simple tom thumb bit. He is constantly showing us how defensive he has become and does not accept contact with his mouth.
He will not accept contact with the bit. I would say that's his #1 problem. Because he's afraid to accept the bit, he has all these defensive behaviors that follow. This horse is an extreme, exaggerated version of most people's horses. Like, tongue over the bit, gapping my mouth, pulling the reins out of your head, leaning in my shoulder, hollowing out my back, dragging you around, stopping on, abruptly stopping. He's got all of the ugliness. It's a good thing he's a good guy. He's pretty and he's gentle, and in his mind, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He just doesn't. And he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. He's a nice horse.
We then switched him to a Mikmar training bit. Nothing was going to change instantly, as this took years to create.
So we've been walking around in this training bit for about 8-10 minutes now, just letting him pack it around. I'm trying to teach him how to softly, just to drop his face, stretch his back, and give to the bit a little without flipping his head around, getting all panicked about his mouth, getting all defensive. And you can see he's doing that now nicely. And we're not going to sweat the small stuff when he opens his mouth for 2 seconds there to kind of play with that roller and get a feel for it.
When we switch to the training bit, we see moments of acceptance, softness, and correct carriage at the walk. The training bit disperses pressure to 4 areas: the nose, mouth, chin, and poll. As we go to the trot, he really tests the bit.
We're just going to let him kind of pack this and try to keep a slower gait. The thing with him is he gets into this trot that's like he's, okay, so that's unacceptable. Come on, just because we're trotting now doesn't mean that changes. And the same thing now we're trying something new. So now he's gonna challenge this bit, and we're gonna ask him not to trot too quickly. He really wants to get off there and trot like a banshee. See if we can't keep this. Good boy. Keep this a little woo. Good boy, slower woo. And he's really never been taught to collect at any gait, so he's pretty hard to sit on. Very bouncy. Ooh. And again, now he is really challenging this one. And he's going to have to learn to rate his gait a little. He doesn't get to go 90 miles an hour everywhere, so he's not quite happy about this. He's trying to get his tongue over it. Trying to do all kinds of stuff. You know what? Those habits don't go away right away. But we got it at the walk, and we can get it at the trot. Ooh. Here.
Thankfully, we have the training bit, a great tool that will encourage him to become more consistent and comfortable with the bit. Over time, he'll learn to understand what is being asked of him. He will relax, accept the bit, and realize it's going to be okay.
Good boy. You're doing real good now. Atta boy. Good boy.
those moments of correctness will turn into the normal way of behaving and carrying himself.
I'm making him accept the bit the whole time right now. He's not, I'm contacting his mouth all the time. That's not something he accepts at all. There we go. That's a better gait for him. Oh boy, you can gap. Rome wasn't built in a day. You can gap. But you have to maintain a comfortable, attaboy, attaboy, attaboy. Oh.
A good stop with a quiet mouth, a big difference from just 20 minutes ago with the Tom Thumb bit.
But it's a vicious circle for him because he's just trying to take care of himself. For him to let me take a hold of his face like that, that's a pretty big deal. That he would actually let me do that today, like that. It's a pretty big deal. He realized, you know, he could keep messing with that mouthpiece, but it was going to be a lot easier for him not to do that. It was a lot easier for him just to kind of calm down and relax with the bit like he had at the walk. He was getting a lot of contact at the 4 points of pressure, and finally he realized, hey, it's not worth the trouble. I'm going to kind of simmer down here a little bit and give her a nice ride. And that's kind of where we're at. We kind of bumped him up into the canter, and he was actually real good there, asked him to halt, and he halted real well. And this is really amazingly quick transition for this horse who's been 7 years. Well, he's 5 years, he's a 7-year-old. He's real defensive, real worried, very bully-ish, very strong. So he's real used to being like that. So for him to have to give to this bit and give to my hands is asking him to pretty much do a miracle, because it's really not who he is. He doesn't understand that at all. He thinks he knows what's best. He's a pretty good guy.